Why Putin's dark practices are booming his economy. Is Putin's economy really booming, or is it all smoke and mirrors? Vladimir Putin, Russia's leader for over 20 years, is known for being challenging and controversial. People accuse him of nasty stuff like corruption and even murder. But here's the twist. Russia's economy is doing surprisingly well. It's been growing by 4% yearly under Putin, and more folks are joining the middle class. How does that make sense? Are Putin's brutal tactics helping the economy? By cracking down on corruption and crime, he's made things more stable for businesses. Plus, he's pumped money into essential areas like energy and manufacturing. Or is it just luck? Oil and gas prices have increased, and Russia sells many of those. That has boosted the economy too. But remember, there's a dark side to this success. Putin's challenging methods have created a system filled with corruption and control. Dissent is silenced, and the rule of law is shaky. So, is Putin's economic success a puzzle, or is there a precise answer? Let's dig deeper into Putin's methods and what they mean for Russia's future. Historical context. Overview of Russia's economic challenges in the post-Soviet Union. Once upon a time, in the tumultuous aftermath of the Soviet Union's dramatic collapse in 1991, Russia stood at a crossroads. The nation's economic landscape bore the scars of this seismic event, with its GDP plummeting by nearly 50% and the specter of poverty casting its grim shadow over millions. This dire situation stemmed from a tapestry of challenges. The remnants of the Soviet economic behemoth, characterized by centralization and inefficiency, haunted the country. Moreover, the jarring shift towards a market-driven economy shocked Russian society. The Russian government embarked on economic reforms during the 1990s to right the ship. However, these efforts were plagued by poor implementation and rampant corruption. Consequently, the Russian economy languished, finding no respite until the early 2000s. Putin's early economic reforms and stabilization efforts. Enter Vladimir Putin, who ascended to the Russian presidency in 2000, inheriting an economy in tatters and marred by corruption. Putin swiftly unveiled a set of bold economic reforms. These included a crusade against corruption and organized crime, tax cuts for businesses, a surge in infrastructure spending, and the privatization of state-owned assets. The fruits of Putin's labor were evident as the Russian economy stabilized and flourished. However, these reforms also cast a shadow, as they concentrated wealth in the hands of a select few oligarchs, creating a divide within society. The impact of oil and gas revenues on Russia's economy. The story takes a twist with the revelation of Russia's vital role in the global oil and gas market. These commodities became the lifeblood of the nation's economy, contributing a staggering 40% to the government's budget. Yet, like an erratic pendulum, oil and gas prices swung wildly in recent years. When they soared, Russia's economy basked in prosperity. Conversely, when they dipped, Russia felt the chill of economic hardship. Oil and gas dependency. Discussion of Russia's vast energy resources. In the vast expanse of Russia, there lies an empire rich in oil and natural gas. Russia is the world's largest exporter of these valuable resources, boasting vast reserves that account for over 10% of global oil reserves and more than 20% of the world's natural gas reserves. These treasures, hidden beneath the land, are distributed across various regions, including Western Siberia, Eastern Siberia, and the Timan-Pechora Basin. Russia's Arctic regions also hold significant reserves of oil and gas. Russia's oil and gas is governed by state-owned companies, particularly Rosneft and Gazprom. These entities wield substantial influence in the nation's economy, annually yielding billions of dollars in revenue for the government. The role of oil and gas exports in Russia's economic stability. Oil and gas exports hold a vital role in Russia's economic stability. These exports contribute to more than 40% of the Russian government's budget and constitute over 60% of Russia's total exports. Not only do they bring economic prosperity, but they also attract investments and create jobs. The oil and gas industry serves as one of the largest employers in Russia, drawing billions of dollars in foreign investments each year. Like a thriving city, it's as if this industry never sleeps, constantly buzzing with opportunities. The impact of global energy prices on Russia's economy. However, in every narrative, there is a twist. Russia's destiny is intrinsically linked to the unpredictable fluctuations in global energy prices. When prices soar, Russia's economy thrives. But when they plummet, Russia's economy struggles to stand tall. 2008 witnessed a global financial crisis, leading to a sharp decline in oil and gas prices. Consequently, Russia's economy contracted by a staggering 7.8% in 2009, marking a challenging period for the nation. Yet, as the pages of time turned, so did Russia's fortunes. Oil and gas prices rebounded, breathing life back into Russia's economy. By 2013, Russia's economy had grown by 3%, marking the highest growth rate since 2011. Economic diversification efforts. Analysis of Putin's attempts to diversify the Russian economy. Let me take you on a journey into the world of Russian President Vladimir Putin and his mission to make Russia's economy more diverse. He's working hard in the present to achieve this goal. President Putin wants Russia to be known for more than just oil and gas. To make this happen, he's using some clever strategies. He's investing more money in areas like technology and farming, which aren't about oil and gas. Putin is giving tax breaks and perks to businesses that join the non-energy team, like a helpful friend. He's also making it easier for companies to get loans. The development of non-energy sectors, such as technology and agriculture. They're doing some cool stuff in Russia to make technology and farming shine. They're putting lots of money into technology companies and giving a leg up to startups. They're also making the internet faster with broadband. They're helping farmers with funds and updating how they grow food. Guess what? All these efforts are working. The tech world in Russia is growing fast, and they're even sending their tech skills to other countries. Russia is now good at producing food and farming, so they don't have to rely on others. Challenges and limitations in achieving economic diversification. Now, let's talk about some hurdles that are in the way. Remember, these are happening right now. First, Russia is still hooked on selling oil and gas to the world. Those sales make up a big chunk, more than 40%, of Russia's government money. So it's tough for them to do anything that might cut into their oil and gas business. Another challenge is that doing business in Russia can take time and effort. Corruption is still a problem, and finding skilled workers in specific fields can be like searching for a needle in a haystack. These things make it hard for businesses to grow and invest in Russia. Lastly, there are outside problems too, like the conflict in Ukraine and those pesky sanctions from Western countries. These things make it even harder for Russia's economy to grow and diversify. State control and oligarchs. The role of state-owned enterprises in the Russian economy. So let's begin in Russia's busy economic landscape. Currently, state-owned enterprises, we'll call them SOEs, are like the show's big stars. They play a massive part in Russia's money-making, contributing over 50% to all the money the country makes. That's GDP, and giving jobs to more than 20% of the people. These SOEs aren't just in one business, they're like all-rounders. You can find them in energy, transportation, defense, and making. Some of the big names are Gazprom, Rosneft, and Sberbank. The Russian government loves those SOEs because they help it control and grow the economy. Putin's relationship with oligarchs and their impact on the economy. Now, let's talk about another group of rich folks called oligarchs. These folks got super rich because they were buddies with the Russian government. They've got their fingers in many pies in the Russian economy, both good and bad. Conversely, oligarchs have spent much money on Russia's economy, creating jobs and pushing for rules that favor them. But here's the twist. They've also been accused of doing shady stuff, like corruption and bending the rules to their advantage. People say they're only sometimes playing fair. The balance between state control and private enterprise. Imagine a seesaw, with one side being the government and the other private businesses. Finding the right balance between them is like walking on a tightrope for Russia. President Putin has been tilting the seesaw more towards the government side lately. He's doing this by taking more control over those state-owned enterprises we discussed earlier, and keeping an eye on private businesses. Economic sanctions. Discussion of economic sanctions imposed on Russia. Let's talk about economic sanctions. These are like hefty punishments that one group of countries gives to another group. These punishments come as financial penalties, like saying, you can't have any ice cream. But in this case, countries say, you can't do certain things and we'll make it hard for you to do business. Many countries decided to give Russia a timeout by imposing economic sanctions. This happened because Russia did something that the other countries didn't like. They invaded Ukraine in February 2022. These sanctions were meant to make Russia stop invading and behave better. Putin's response to sanctions and their impact on the economy. When the sanctions hit Russia, President Putin didn't just sit, he pointed a finger right back and said, "It's your fault our economy is shaky." He also imposed some of his sanctions on Western countries. These sanctions had a significant impact on Russia's money matters. The ruble, which is their money, lost its value quickly, and prices increased significantly. That's inflation. The economy also slowed down, but guess what? The Russian economy didn't give up. It showed some serious strength. The government used a secret weapon called foreign reserves to help the economy. They also had some clever policies to boost businesses and lower taxes. The resilience of the Russian economy in the face of sanctions. Now, let's talk about why Russia's economy didn't crumble like a cookie under the weight of these sanctions. One reason is that Russia has a huge market right at home. They only rely a little on selling things to other countries, so the sanctions hit them less hard. Russia also has a solid financial system and lots of money in foreign reserves. These are like emergency funds for a rainy day. International partnerships. Russia's economic relationships with other nations. In the present day, Russia has economic ties with many other nations around the world. One of its closest financial partners is China. They now share a robust trade relationship, with China making significant investments in Russia's energy and infrastructure sectors. India is another essential friend in the world of economics for Russia. They work together on various projects like energy, trade, and defense. However, Russia's relationship with the European Union has ups and downs. Due to the Ukraine conflict and sanctions from Western countries, their ties have been strained recently. But even so, the EU remains Russia's most significant trading buddy. Besides, Russia has economic connections with countries like Turkey, Iran, and Brazil. The significance of the Eurasian Economic Union. In 2015, something quite significant happened. Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Armenia, and Kyrgyzstan formed the Eurasian Economic Union, or EAEU. This union was created to build a common marketplace for goods and services among its member states. For Russia, the EAEU is like a treasure chest. It provides access to a vast market for its products and services. It also helps Russia reduce its dependence on the European Union. The impact of international partnerships on Russia's economic performance. Now, let's dive into the impact of Russia's international friendships on its economic performance. These partnerships have a significant role to play. They open doors to markets where Russia can sell its goods and services. Plus, they bring in foreign investments like seeds for economic growth. In times of trouble, like when Western countries imposed sanctions, these partnerships were like a shield. Russia increased its trade with China and India to make up for the losses in business with the EU. Social and political factors. Analysis of public support for Putin's economic policies. In the past, public support for Putin's economic policies was like a roller coaster ride. During the early years of his presidency, people cheered for him. They believed he could make the Russian economy strong and healthy. But as time passed, things changed. Recent years have seen a decline in public support. This happened because of problems like a slowing economy, lower living standards, and even whispers of corruption scandals. Nevertheless, Putin still has many fans. To them, he's a strong, patriotic leader who stands firm against the West. The role of political stability in economic resilience. In the world of economics, political stability is like the foundation of a sturdy building. It keeps businesses confident and people spending. Russia, under Putin's leadership, has been relatively stable. This helped Russia weather the storm of Western sanctions. However, there were clouds on the horizon. The conflict in Ukraine and those economic sanctions shook people's trust in the government. There were even protests against Putin's rule. If Russia's political stability keeps slipping, it could bring a storm that damages the economy. Socioeconomic disparities and their implications. The gap between the rich and poor has grown more significant in Russia recently. This was a cause for concern because it led to many problems. High disparities between the haves and the have-nots can anger people and lead to unrest. It can also slow down the economy's growth. To tackle this, the government tried to help the less fortunate. They increased social spending and gave subsidies to those in need. But there's still much work to do in reducing these disparities in Russia. So there you have it, folks. Putin's economic strategy has yielded growth. driven by anti-corruption measures and investments. However, it's heavily reliant on volatile energy prices and marred by corruption. Efforts to diversify face challenges. Sanctions and international partnerships play a role, but political stability and socioeconomic disparities are concerns. The future of Russia's economy remains uncertain, influenced by a complex web of domestic and global factors.